It's not that I don't want you here. It's something about the way you stare.
How many times?
Hello, welcome to The Overflow. I'm Brian.
I'm Rosalind.
And this is The Overflow where we talk about our relationship, things that we learned, messages that we just had on our heart, and topics that we like to share from our overflow.
Mm-hmm.
And this week, let's start with what we learned this week.
What we learned this week. You want to go first?
Yeah, I can go first. The thing I learned this week is overthinking is bad. You know, and I know that sounds like goofy, like, oh, you didn't know that? Overthinking is bad? But no, I really understood, like, when it comes to overthinking and being a super critical thinker, I think what God was really telling me about like that is like, do not think too much where it keeps you from being obedient. You know, you think, like, thinking about what God tell you to do is sometimes not necessary. You just need to do it. And we wear critical thinking as such a badge of honor, like, I'm just so smart, you know, or I'm solving the problem. And he's like, man, I'm just giving you instructions. Like, follow that.
No need to think 3 steps ahead.
No need to think about who's going to be there, what the reaction is going to be, if it's simple enough for them to understand, if it's going to be helpful. Like, don't think, do. And I think for me, it's helping me like be more free from like the worries, because I'm more of in a place of action than just thinking about it.
You definitely are. I see those fruits.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to make move in that direction.
I see it.
Mm-hmm. So what you learned this week?
Okay, so I've learned 2 things. And if y'all haven't learned by now, I'm a little long-winded, so I'll try to keep it cute. The first thing I've learned is to stop taking responsibility for other people's feelings and emotions, especially when you know you've done nothing wrong. I am not responsible to manage the feelings, emotions, or reactions of adults who are not actively managing their own. Just because they're not managing it doesn't mean I need to pick up that responsibility. Everyone is a grown-up, and we all need to manage our own emotions, and I don't need to meet people sometimes where they are emotionally, not adults. I'm where I am. I don't need to come down to where you are. I invite you all up to where I am. I hope you get there. Sometimes I'm down where you're at, but if I'm not, I'm declining the invitation.
Yeah. That's good. That's real good.
The second thing I'm learning is to give myself grace, because I know a couple episodes ago, or whatever we're calling these things, I talked about taking steps. Like, how do you climb a mountain? 1 step at a time. You just keep moving. And I recently learned that I'm going to need to take shorter steps than what I originally expected of myself and expressed to my husband to expect of me. And we had that conversation this morning. I'm going to need to take shorter steps. And I'm truly at peace with that. So that was a good, like, okay, this is a lesson you have learned. I feel like I've come to that place of, and sure, maybe in the next phase of life, it's going to, like, you sure you learned that lesson? Yeah.
So recheck,
yeah, so I'm going to get
again.
retested. But for this one, I think I did a decent job of, like, acknowledging, recognizing, and being at peace with that, not beating myself up. So giving myself grace and recognizing my needs, and then acting on what I need. And I think that's pretty dope. I'm excited to have that as a tool.
And I appreciate the communication, because it's like, you know, you're working together as a team, and you're like, well,
right, I'm gonna have this, that done.
Yeah, you express, hey, I'm gonna do
things.
all these things, and then you're like, okay, well, have you done those things this week? And then
Don't ask me, because the answer's no. And out of fact, then we're gonna have to move that deadline back.
You know, but setting the expectation, it helps me better support her, you know, and be also patient, and then understand, like, okay, this is what kind of steps she's taking. So
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
And so he sees I'm too making progress and being intentional. I have a plan, and I'm not just floating around and being able to see what that is manifesting. And so it also takes pressure off of me, because we are both the type of people who are like, well, you said this pressure isn't coming from me, it's coming from what you said. I'm just looking at you like, be true to your word, you know? And so I'm reneging, and I'm gonna let you know that's not gonna work like I thought it would, because my body isn't responding like I hoped it would, you know?
Yeah.
As far as me still healing and just having the emotional capacity to do certain things. And so
I don't see you as reneging though. I think you're just having awareness. That's fair. That's fair. Cause reneging is like, hey, you owe me this, you know. But it's expectations,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's real good. All right, but I think what this week's topic is, what does it look like dying to yourself for your marriage? You know, I love the quote, or it's a song. Can't think about. I forgot the name. Flight 21 or something like that.
Who's the artist?
That's the name of the group, I think. And it's like time of my life. It's talking about having a time of their life, or taking my time, or I'm taking my time on my ride. But basically, the song talks about, I have to let you listen to it. But basically, it talks about like, you love somebody so much, and you say you would like die for them, but what does that look like? You know, we're not in those situations where, hopefully I never be in that situation where I got somebody, at me gunpoint, or rousing at gunpoint, and I gotta just stand in front. I have no problem doing that, but I'm just saying, like, God forbid. But I think we as men, and we just in general in relationships, don't know what that actually looks like practically every single day. And I had to really think about and look at, am I doing these things? Am I really dying to myself? Am I really taking those measures? Am I walking in those kind of steps to like really do that for her? And I think
for the marriage,
or for just the marriage.
Yeah.
Am I putting my life on the line and really doing those things?
Yeah, I was looking down because I was trying to look up the song. I couldn't find it. I don't know if the band is called Flight 21.
I know somebody like, nigga, that's not it.
All right. But no, I think we're both doing a better job at looking at our marriage as its own entity that we both reside within, versus looking at each other as the man. Like, I'm not looking at you anymore as like all the things that I'm doing this for. I'm looking at the institution of our marriage also, as the thing that I'm getting healthier for, that I am working to invest in. And sometimes for me, dying means shaving off things that don't work within that space. Like, before, I would have not communicated what I was maybe aware of, maybe not, but just that most recent example of like realizing, I need to take smaller steps because I'm looking at the mountain and getting so overwhelmed that I am, sorry, the camera's shaking.
Yeah.
I'm getting overwhelmed, and so I'm just going to be still. And so even if I'm just shuffling, I need to keep moving forward, right? And before, I would know that, but I wouldn't communicate that. And then I would look at him like, oh, you're expecting too much of me, you're putting pressure on me, and blah, 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 right? And so, like, even getting to a point where it's like a common occurrence to have that type of communication and express those things has been a process of killing that part off of me where I'm prideful, right? That's a prideful part of me, ego thing. Like, I don't owe you. I I don't owe you extra explanation, like you ain't my parent and blah 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 blah, right? And so like that extra guarding too. So when you're guarded and you're like, it's unnecessary guarding as your husband or your marriage is a safe space to be, should be. So your marriage is a safe space to be, and so like you should be able to be vulnerable and open and without that guarded and that extra ego. And so like before it would be ego and like very like, I'm a woman, I'm grown, I don't need to explain myself and blah 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 blah. And I know I don't need to, but it is good for my marriage, for me too, you know. It can be detrimental to my marriage if I don't. And so what I need to do is kill that part of me. That part needs to die, and it is a process. So when we talk about dying daily, like literally sometimes you got to go back and stab that joker because like it's trying to come back up and you gotta be like,
be like, hold on,
no, you gotta stay,
try to come back.
Exactly. So like you got to keep it, like you have to go back to that gravesite and like make sure, because you ignore those things and now you got a zombie in your house. And there's parts of you that should be dead that are residing in your marriage with you, and you have to kill it because it doesn't serve that institution of your marriage anymore. And so for me, it was that type of, just most recently, that's a good example for me of like, owing you that explanation. I owe that to us and to our marriage, because that will foster resentment. And you're just looking at me like, you set this expectation. Why are you mad at me for expressing concern that you're not meeting these goals that you have set? You've told me you do. I didn't give you this. So, yeah, that's been the most recent example of like dying to self, you know, on behalf of and for your marriage. And those things too will serve us outside of the marriage as well. So it's not like, so for me to be able to say that in business, hey, I know they've set this deadline. It's not looking like it's going to be that anymore. Here are our new expectations. Ideally, you do what you said you're going to do, right? But if you just can't, it's beneficial to be able to communicate that. I can't count the number of times as a customer, consumer, where I was expecting a service or a good or something like that, and it just wasn't communicated. The expectations weren't properly set, and I was so frustrated because like if you would have just said something, I wouldn't be upset. But now it's the day of and I'm expecting this, and now you're saying something, you know.
Now you send me a text message, hey, you got 5 more days, or you're saying it's not here, or or
anyone who's ever gotten their hair done, those hey love text messages or emails, I don't know if you know, probably don't. So
you just come in the barbershop and that person just sitting in the chair, and you like, dog, you could have just told me, you could have sent me something. Like, oh, I got you 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes. You got 5 more, you know. Yeah,
because I could have left my house 5 minutes late if you would have told me you were running behind. Yeah,
and that's very important, you know, having those things and being able to communicate that. I'm just thinking for me, myself, of dying, I think it was a big lesson for me was being vulnerable, killing my pride and my ego, to be vulnerable with you, to let you know, hey man, I need your help. Like I remember just asking you to be with me while even looking for a therapist. You know, I was just like, cause it was just like
overwhelming.
It was overwhelming. You know, I think it was just so much going on, and this is when I was working, like I said, 50, 60 hours a week. People were letting me down left and right, whether it was people at work, family, or just friends, just whatever. It was a lot. And as a man, we try to just walk through pain, you know, and being able to kill my ego, to be like, I need help. I need somebody to be with me. I'm feeling weak right now. I need some strength, and to be able to express that to my wife, you know. I think it's when you get to a place when you can say, okay, well, I am killing my family or hurting my family by not helping myself, or am I willing to go through mental anguish, like you said, taking that feeling like dying, because as we know, like
growth feels like death.
yeah, shadow work and that stuff, it feels like dying. It's a painful refining process, but it's worth
Yeah.
it. You
Yeah.
know, you are stronger after, you're more happier, you're at more peace. But while going through it, it is tough.
I liken it to the process of becoming a butterfly. Like that shadow work process, like that
Yeah.
phase. Some people call it like the dark soul of the night. I've heard it referred to. We're doing
I thought it was a game.
the dark night of the soul. I think I said that wrong. I think it's the dark night of the soul. Whatever. It is. I always said I feel like I'm in a chrysalis
Mm-hmm.
and I am liquefied.
Well, that's like
And-
the middle part, right? The middle part of the
Yes, after you've
the
like made the
cocoon.
cocoon,
Yeah.
and now it's a chrysalis, and that thing it turns into mush. It went from a caterpillar to mush, and it is reorganizing its parts, and that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I said, I feel like the inside of me is on fire. I feel like it's melting. I feel like I am, you know, it really feels like you're dying, and you have to teach your body that you're not.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, mentally.
mentally, and then the trust
Yeah.
on the other side, like how much you trust yourself,
Mm-hmm.
trust your spirit, trust your gut, trust God, trust each other.
Yeah.
Like the trust that has come from dying to self and making that a practice has become, I think, more than we imagined it would be. Like we've always loved each other deeply.
Yeah.
But just so many things after this long being married has just gotten deeper than, for me, I was aware was possible.
Yeah, and I think it just like no one understands where the fight in marriage is. Like you hear people say, "Fight for your marriage, fight for your relationship." This is where the fight is.
It's in you.
That's where the fight is. It's in you. It's all. That's where the fight is.
And if it's outside of you, it's still in you.
It's still-
because
yeah.
it's in you why it's allowed to be outside of you.
Yeah. So like.
Or like outside the marriage.
Yeah. That's the fight.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be no person. It's your mental issues. It's your bad habits.
Boundary setting.
Your communication skills. It's developing. That's the fight. And most people don't. I didn't understand that.
That's good. I don't
know.
think I've ever heard anyone just say it plainly. When you
Yeah.
fight for your marriage, you literally got to turn within.
Yeah, it's the development,
Yeah.
and most people don't even know that. So like, I didn't. Like I said, that was a big lesson that I learned from dying to my pride, my ego, and to those things. And like you said, you gotta make sure you kill that zombie, because boy, it come up, be like,
You thought that was
you
dead,
know.
and we've had recent situations where I thought I have healed because I did the work.
Man,
That thing is up in my room right now. That scab
Yeah.
was ripped open.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
whoo,
the
I thought
pain.
that was dealt with. God was like, nah, you still got scar tissue. Let's go ahead and dig that out.
Yeah, just make sure we take care of it. But yeah, that's it's one of those things. That's the fight, man. Oh, and it was 21 Pilots. Ride. So yeah, that's what it was. I know. I was really old black man right there.
Facts. It's you for once. It's usually me.
I know,
I'm
right?
like, what them people's called?
And this is what he was saying. I died for you. It's easier to say. We have lists of people that we would take a bullet for them, a bullet for you, a bullet for everybody in this room. But I don't see many bullets coming through. You know, and it's kind of like you say you would do these things like, hey, I would die for you. I would change the world for you. I'll buy you the moon, girl. But am I gonna work on my communication skills? Am I gonna work on
Lauryn Hill said
loving
it
you?
best. Lauryn Hill said it best. You know what song I'm talking about?
No, which one? No,
She said,
she said a lot of stuff.
Okay, let me find the actual lyrics because I do it best when the song's actually
Yeah.
playing. But Lauryn Hill,
But yeah, I'm saying like you don't see those bullets, and the bullets come in those self development things. Like I'ma stand in front of my wife and work on those issues of insecurity, maybe patience, maybe showing kindness, like stepping in front so she don't take those things from people who have shot those inconsiderate words or actions towards me.
Okay, so it's Lauryn Hill, The X Factor is the song. But it is the let me go. I think it's called the breakdown part of it. Care for me, I know you care for me, there for me. Said you'd be there for me, cry for me. You said you'd die for me, give to me. Why won't you live for me? And so, like, even with our kids, right? And I know this is for marriage and we try to stick to that, but even that die for you part, like, comes into play in so many other areas, right? So, like, my ego has to die to function well in this. I mean, ego is still protecting at some point, but, like, it doesn't coexist well within a marriage. And in a healthy, I think, parental relationship with your child, it doesn't either. And so my son would be like, you said we were going to do this today. You're right. You know, and like keeping my word to him. Or I say something and he corrects me and he's 6. But if you're right, you're right. Like, you don't get told to shut up because I'm a grown up. And because I'm a grown up, I'm always right even when I'm wrong. Like, that doesn't,
Yeah.
you know, so like there's just certain spaces where, like, dying to self on behalf of our marriage, those skills, while I'm not dying to self on behalf of good customer service, you know, I'm not going to die to myself for a job or whatever, but like flexing and building those muscles of like taking a beat and not reacting, but taking a beat and then respond intentionally. Like that's a tool that you can use and do well with in life.
I'm just going to add one more thing to what you just said. Just a reminder, dying is not sacrificing. So it's not I'm taking these blows. It is I'm healing myself so I can be better capable of handling. And I'm healing these.
Like, you are removing what doesn't work.
Yes.
And healing that wound.
Yes.
From removing that thing.
Yes.
So it's like a marble statue, you know, like you're talking about a refining process, and you just got a pick and axe or a pick and a chisel or chisel hammer, whatever. I'm not a sculptor, but like, you know what I mean? Like, you're picking these things away, and like the work is doing that and then smoothing that out and like healing those edges.
Yeah, and it's not being a shield and just taking your partner's trauma. It is.
No.
Yeah, that's why I just want to make sure it's not
you
that.
Barely handle yours. Don't pick up that other person's stuff.
Or just don't be just taking it on the chin. It's not about that. It's about just healing yourself, like you said, refining, taking what's not working, and making it work.
Yeah,
and getting the tools to make it work.
We're not. I'm not lumping my trauma onto your shoulders. You're not lumping yours onto mine.
Yeah.
We are actively sharing space, holding space for each other while we heal. It's very different. Because it's not my job to do his work, and it's not his job to do my work, but it's our job to protect the integrity of the space of our marriage, which is a safe place to do that healing.
Yeah. That's funny though, but that was good. I'm thinking about the song. They didn't turn that to a Drake sample.
Yeah, they did.
That nice for what? That's funny.
It's Lauryn Hill.
They're like,
Definitely Lauryn Hill.
I think it's a TikTok sample now. But anyway.
I'm an old lady on the inside.
How do you feel about me this week?
Oh no. I wasn't mentally prepared.
Oh, got you off guard.
You did.
Oh.
I don't know. You've been doing so good lately. I'm just trying to pick something. I felt loved by you this week when I could say your patience. I could say when I asked you to bring me some chocolate It was already done. I could say when I looked in the cabinet and there was brownies in there. You're like, I was gonna cook those for you.
I did, yeah.
I could say, I don't know. We've just been very good at. You've been really good about doing that work to not get defensive when I bring up a concern or an issue or something like that. And even in the middle of getting defensive, you pause, pivot, and like stop and like listen and respond instead of react. And you have been doing so much work, reading and listening to so many books. I don't know. I know the books and stuff are about your development, but I benefit from that too. So like, I feel residually loved when you are working on yourself and making sure you're pouring into and loving yourself.
Yeah. Okay.
All those things.
All those things.
So you better at least come with 10.
Oh, see, I said one thing. I ain't said expectation of what? Just what?
7 examples.
She could have just said the chocolate. I'm like, okay, that's
I'll
cool.
compromise it for.
Okay.
I'm just joking.
Well, just I think just earlier this week, of course, I think even I can say like let me sleep in, but you of course just you even cooked dinner tonight for me. You didn't even. I was expecting to come home, like her to come home and I was gonna cook. I was expecting it, but she didn't ask me, or she didn't even like, you know, as soon as she gets home, she usually calm me down, or you know.
Here your ingredients.
Yeah, here your ingredients. Here you go. You know, or get me to make it.
Yeah.
Like I got the secret sauce, like to make.
No,
good
he
food.
does, because some of the stuff it only tastes good when he cooks it to me.
You gotta be like, man, I know you can cook.
I don't want to make my own noodles. They don't taste good if I make them.
It tastes just as good.
It's not.
But I think let me see that, and I think since you did that, really made me feel love. It was something.
That's our dog making all that noise. If y'all can hear that.
Yeah, if you can hear that, if you heard dog chewing, we have the puppy sleep right now.
Spinning in circles on her bed.
Mm-hmm.
We ain't talked to her enough times, so
Yeah.
she's making noise.
So she's annoyed. Oh yeah, but you got me. Well, you've been patient with me. I'll always say that. Like this past week, you've been patient. Even though I've done some. Like I've been rude, and she's been patient, and she's been more open. She has been like shut off.
Haven't been shut off.
Like yeah, you haven't shut off on me. You haven't shut down on me. You really still been open. I've never felt like, even though I know like I hurt your feelings, you've accepted my words, and you've heard me, and then you haven't, like I said, shut me out. Like where I know in the past where I felt like I ain't gonna touch it back. You know, she. Yeah, we done been. I ain't gonna touch it back, man.
Look at me.
You know.
Meanwhile,
but she's been patient for me.
Be in my face, yeah.
Yeah, she's been patient with me, and I really appreciate it. And I really felt love in those situations, because even when she understood my heart, instead of letting her thoughts define my actions, she's asking me questions, and she's trusting my words and what I'm doing, and then I'm also giving her another chance to step up, to really to have another chance to come back, you know, and make it right. So
Dying to self.
yeah. Put it in practice.
Trust, like stuff like that, is a result of childhood wounds, adolescent wounds, early adult, you know, stuff like that. And so like even accepting your apology and taking your word at face value and believing you and giving you space to prove what you say, you know, that's a result of dying to self and doing the work and chiseling away distrust and things like that, and smoothing out those edges and healing. Like,
Yeah, it comes. Hey, it's worth it. It's worth it.
It is. Because we're in a peaceful place right
Yeah.
now. And I'm not in the process of holding a grudge or
Yeah.
simmering in my hurt.
Yeah. And
Yeah, that's
then
what it would be, simmering in the pain.
Yeah, and then I'm not beating myself up still, so I'm able to move on and to be better.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, that's all we got for you this week. Until next time, we'll see you. Like and subscribe, share with somebody. All right?
Wait.
What?
Let us know in the comments what you're learning this week, please.
Yes, let us know.
I'm going to keep saying that, and eventually somebody's going to do it. One of y'all.
Or hey, and then also just if you have some way that you know that you got to yourself.
Yeah.
People, I'm telling you, like I've learned so much reading somebody's comment on YouTube.
No,
page.
for real.
Yeah, it matters.
Conversations happen in the comments.
Yeah, man.
And I would love for the Overflow channel to be one of those spaces where people are commenting, being open, being honest, vulnerable, and people are in the comments encouraging. So if you see someone expressing something like that,
Yeah.
like the comment under it. Good job. I'm proud of you. You know what I mean? Like, just encourage each other, because sometimes just the I'm proud of you from a stranger can save a life, literally. Like,
Yeah.
you never know. It's not.
Or your process.
It doesn't cost you anything to hold on to those comments. It doesn't cost you anything, but sometimes it can mean the world to a complete stranger. Like, there's groups I've been where people have been crying because just kindness. So be kind.
Yeah.
Be vulnerable, though, so you can open yourself up for kindness.
Yeah, you got wisdom. You got wisdom to share,
Yeah.
and that's important.
And I don't look at the comments, but if Brian tells me to look at the comments, I will.
Man, you gotta leave this. You gotta see
scared
this.
of the internet.
You gotta see this.
Oh, yeah.
I ain't scared.
But
Uh,
he's not. And that's why I'm going to stand behind him. People are like, I'm going to stand beside him. I will stand behind him. If he tells me, Rosalind, you need to see these comments, I will come look, and I will engage and interact, and I'm happy to encourage and pour into y'all,
all right.
because we got overflow.
Yeah, overflow. It's the overflow. All right. Till next time.
Bye.
Bye.